Well, good morning everybody. So we are back with another garden tour video. For those of you who are new, I'm Rudy and this is my garden. I live here in Southern California in zone 9B. Today is July 24th and a lot of things have changed since the last garden tour. And if you haven't already, you can check that out. I'll link it down below. So come take a walk with me around my garden. So here we have a few things that I'm getting started. I have the black fuchsia squash. Not sure if I'm saying that correctly. I have hyssop, the bujoki peppers, Big Mac's pumpkins, bachelor buttons, some jelly melons, which are really cucumbers. I got German chamomile, sweet banana peppers, some orange sherbet carnations. So this is the white blush scallop squash, and little potato cucumbers. Now all these I started in July 16th. So they're about a little over a week old. Not all of them germinated at the same time. I'm still waiting on the bugoki peppers to sprout. So I'm basically going to be swapping out some of the old matured stuff that I have in the garden that's ready to be pulled. And just below that I have some more cannabis started. And I'm using the seeds from my hermaphrodite plant to plant these. And some of them have already sprouted. Not all of them have sprouted yet. Now if you see this one here, this one has sprouted. But as you can see, the seed casing is still stuck on the plant. I've seen some people lick their fingers and basically rub it off, and this will help with the encasing to come off. But what I like to do is be very gentle and help peel it off. And then now that frees up the cotyledons. So now a little later today, you'll see that the leaves actually open up. All right, before we enter, we have a watermelon here, and don't look at the grass. I gotta cut this. Now I forgot the exact variety of this watermelon, but I'll put it up on the screen. Getting fairly large here. Somewhat trying to trellis it on the gate here. But right next to that, we have a zucchini. Now if you notice that this zucchini plant actually has 3 main leaders. So the main root is here. There's one shoot here, a second shoot here, and a third shoot going up there. So this is a fairly large zucchini plant. Started some nasturtiums, and as you can see, we got some sprouts coming up here. So I first want to show you guys the newest bed that I've put in. So it's a drastic difference from when you guys last seen it. The morning glories have taken off and have basically taken over this entire bed. I have tomatoes all interplanted with some marigolds. You can see these are the Brad's Atomic Grape tomatoes. These aren't fully ripe yet. Now I do still have to put mulch down. Since the last video I was talking about putting mulch down, I still haven't done that yet. And as you can see, by not putting the mulch down when I have been watering, it's been exposing some of the roots of this tomato plant here. What I do plan to come out here later today, put some more of my potting soil just to cover up the roots. So the green onions have seeded. All these black little dots here are seeds. So if I shake them off, all these are bunching onion seeds. So I can just take these, replant them, and I'll have some new onions. Jalapeno is doing okay. They were getting hit by earwigs, but I did plant some of the Sluggo Plus all around here. So they were getting a little hit and stunted. You can see this one gotten eaten pretty bad. The squash here was getting overgrown and kind of pushing towards the peppers here. So what I did was ended up pushing that kind of out, up, and over towards the bed there. So you can see that it's kind of laying out and over the bed here, and I got a squash that I can come here and harvest. Just gonna pull that, twist and pull. It's gonna be a nice squash. But I put this little piece of wood here just to kind of prop it up. So that's the green Berkeley tie-dye tomato that I propagated. So let's turn back around here, and Here we have the grapes that are just about ready to be picked. Now, not all of the grapes have turned completely purple yet, but for the most part, we're almost ready to pick. These are fairly sweet already. They're a little tart aftertaste. The green ones, however, are quite tart. I always wanted to do that. And this morning glory has just been growing wild. It's already growing up the wire here. The jasmine as well. So the jasmine is making a comeback. This is actually grass. Wow. Look at that. But anyways, yeah, the jasmine has just also been coming up and growing. So both of these are, I might peel off the morning glory and put it on the fence here, more along for a shade, which I'll probably end up doing because the jasmine here is also trying to climb up at the same time. So I don't really want them to compete, and the morning glory has a pretty tight hold on the wire already, so I don't want it to get choked out. Now, I did confirm that this is a Cosmo. So this was part of the mystery seedling pack that I picked up off of Lowe's. And I've been deadheading, as you can tell. And deadheading is basically taking any of these spent blooms, like all these dead blooms here, you pick these off, and that promotes more growth of new flower heads. So potatoes don't really do well in the heat, and we are pushing upwards over 100 degrees for the past few days. So this portion of the plant has flopped over and pretty much dying back. That the tubers underneath the soil weren't going to be developed, so I started to water more often. I've been trying to just keep the soil nice and moist. So there's some offshoots here that are starting to grow. So in August, I'm gonna harvest these and see how they did. Now, on the other hand, the aloe has been loving this heat. So as you can see, there's a lot of side shoots on the aloe. And if I remember reading correctly, some of these side shoots I can pull out and propagate and start a brand new aloe plant. So I'm gonna take a quick turn here. So here again are the grapes. I draped this over to protect the grapes from the birds, but some are still exposed here. So I wouldn't mind if they came here and munched on these. But for the most part, I blocked off the backing that has the most of those grapes, and it's starting to drape over. Here's the Chinese spinach. Now this is a heat tolerant spinach, but I did have the lettuces interplanted in between, but those on the other hand weren't as heat tolerant as this spinach, so I pulled them out. They were getting dry and kind of diseased. Now this dragon fruit specifically has been growing really nice. It's already hit the top, and it has 3 shoots here, which I might cut one of these shoots off just so that it has one main leader and not so many. Not sure yet, still thinking about it, but as you can see, it's already hitting the top. These 2 on the other hand haven't been doing quite well, and I mean it has new growth here, but I was a little hesitant. Both of these came in the same root ball, and I didn't break them up, which I might end up doing because I planted these 2 before this one. I think that's why these 2 are kind of hindered. Here are the Celebrity and Roma tomatoes. So this one was the Roma, this is the Celebrity, and these 2 are the Bush variety tomatoes. But I've been harvesting a ton of tomatoes from these along with the rest of these tomatoes. Cucumber hasn't been doing well here. I've noticed that this corner dries up quite frequently as compared to the rest of the bed. So that's why I'm gonna end up pulling this cucumber out. Same thing with this one. And these two specifically were hit by hornworms. And what led me to notice that there were hornworms on this plant is this small poop here. So I originally thought this poop was from a rat or a mouse, but I did do some research and found that this poop is from the hornworm. And sure enough, when taking a closer look at the plant, I was able to find them. But you can see it got hit pretty bad by the hornworm. It ate a lot of leaves here, but it's still growing. I was able to salvage it and not have too much of an issue with them. The corn unfortunately hasn't been doing that great. It has starting to fall over, and I try to prop them up here with these small little T-posts here and some string, but it's also been quite windy as well. So that's why you can see them flopped over. And I kind of did overseed this bed, so I should have planted less than what I did. So there is some corn production, but I don't think they got germinated that well because they were flopped over. I have some ears here that feel okay, but we'll see. I'm gonna harvest these probably next month, but I don't think, to be quite honest, I'm gonna get that good of a harvest on them. Now here is the cannabis, the lone survivor. This was the only one that made it through the unfortunate decision of me putting Vaseline on the stems. I did confirm that the Vaseline was the reason why the 3 other plants that I had growing in tangent with this one died. But this one is gonna be harvested soon. So I might get a nice little harvest off of this one plant here. I was able to clone one of the plants before it fully died, so this is one of the clones, and those are the other 2. I definitely have to water soon. This one's looking a little droopy, as you can tell. Back there is the gladiolus. And I had to rip out the marigolds there. Here's another gladiolus. Starting to lean over. Here's the Brazilian starfish pepper. And then the watermelon. I believe the watermelon is getting hit by a fungal disease called Fusarium. So from what I read, there's not really a cure for it. Now if we swing back around here, we got the squash plant. So I've been trying to grow it up, this trellis here, using cut up t-shirt and propping the squash up. Now this isn't a climbing variety per se, but you can still try and pull this up. So as the plant's been growing, I've been pulling up the main stem and propping it up with the cut up t-shirts, and that just freed up a whole ton of room here, because if I didn't do it this way, it'd be basically sprawled all over here. It would have shaded out the tomatoes here, and that just gives me way more room to work with growing it up here. Squash, I haven't even noticed. Look at this. Wow. Now here we have a cantaloupe, and unfortunately it also got hit with the wilt. I went ahead and wrapped the cantaloupe in some pantyhose. Now this is a trick that I also found online. So now with the nylon, this gives it enough support for the stem here to not break off with the weight, and it also gives it the expansion that it needs to continue growing without it being hindered. As you can see, this specific melon is doing really well. I'm having it somewhat supported on the fence here, and it has the 2 melons. I might just end up pulling out these melons here just to save these 2. So, not sure yet, still haven't decided. I have another squash there, and then some of the celosia that I forgot to plant, so they ended up dying on me. Don't look at that. Here I have the self-watering pepper bed. So the eggplant that I had in the middle unfortunately died on me, but the rest of the peppers all around it are doing really good. This pepper bed on the other hand got a little bit drier than this one, and I think because the pavement is uneven, so the water is kind of slanting down that way, so this one didn't really get watered. It just looks kind of bad. And with this week and last week's heat, they've been getting hit. And here are the zinnias in these small pots, or some suckers that I replanted from tomatoes. So I actually made a video on how I made this shade planter. I'll link it down below if you guys want to check that out. But the Celosia in here, in this specific pot, have been doing good. After purchasing them and then reading more about Celosia, they don't transplant well. And unfortunately, but because I bought these and they are already root bound, a lot of these really didn't take well. But I still have some good ones here. So thanks for coming on another garden tour with me. I hope you guys enjoyed it and or learned something from it. If you have any tips on the Fusarium Wilt that all my melons are facing right now, let me know down in the comments below. And as always, you won't get a harvest if you don't sow seeds. Peace.